again, if you were to move on from Trent Williams, you're talking about like there's still, and this gets in the weeds, I know, but there's voidable years still on his contract, and that all accelerates into a huge dead cap figure, which the Niners there's no interest in paying that. My guess is he had his agent give a little ringy-dingy over there to Adam Schefter, and this is not an accident, in my opinion, that this came out an hour and a half before John Lynch speaks at the Combine. They wanted to create the Q&A for Lynch, and they did it very, very well. And they said, boy, the two sides are struggling to come to an agreement because there's no more guaranteed money on Trent's contract. He's got 1 year left. Huge cap hit. Niners are probably asking him to take a little bit of a haircut. He might even be willing to do that. That means, though, the Niners also need to tack on another year. They're probably arguing over what that money is. Both sides drive a really hard bargain, especially in February because it's early. So it hasn't gone well as of yet. The two sides haven't said what the other side wants to hear. And so you arrive at this. But of all the things I've read about this, here's the sentence that I think is the one that plays. And it's courtesy of Nick Wagner, who covers the 49ers for ESPN. In a lengthy tweet, he writes all the stuff. There's this, there's that. Right. Here's the implications. And then he gets to the last sentence. There simply isn't a good football or financial reason for San Francisco to part ways with Trent Williams. So they won't.
Right.
And the only leverage they would have is if this lasted forever and you're looking at Trent being like, dude, you're 38. What are you going to do? Sit out a season? Probably be the end of your career if you did that.
And he's done it before, and it worked out for him. And the other leverage they would have is if they were picking like 4th or 5th in the draft.
Right.
Then you could say, oh, go ahead, sit out all you want. We've got our eyes on Louis Big Fella, who's the left tackle out of Ohio State.
Where does he play? Oh,
you know what I mean? You could take the top tackle in the draft if you were picking like top 4, top 5. And I was looking at some mocks earlier, and I think the first tackle off the board is like 5 or 6. It's pretty far up the draft. They're not going to be able to get a really, really good left tackle. And again, it's the draft. You have one of the best left tackles ever. You may have the best left tackle ever. And he's still playing at a high enough level to where, yeah, you have almost no leverage if you're the Niners because you've had him here. He's played here. He's been amazing. And when he plays and he's healthy, you win games. It's that easy.
Caden Proctor.
That's the guy I was talking about.
Is that the guy?
Yeah.
Alabama.
He's probably mocked to go like 5 or 6.
6'7", 369.
That's Trent-ish.
I think that's bigger.
Maybe heavier,
I think he's even bigger than Trent. Wow. So, yeah, you're not getting him.
Right. So
he won't be gone.
And even if you get him, and I don't know the young man, but he might not be any good. And you know that Trent Williams is amazing, even now at this age. So you're not going to mess around with that. You're not going to, go ahead and try to, let's see if we could trade Trent or, try to alienate him or freeze him out. You're kind of stuck. You're over a barrel, and he knows it.
You are, but at the same time, like I said, the Niners are also probably looking at this being like, you really want to, you know what I mean? You really want to not play at age 38. I don't think it's going to get there. There's a very specific reason why this is happening in February as opposed to August. It happened in August. Was that last year or the year before?
Year before,
when Trent and the Niners had a little holdout situation. Right. The reason it's happening here now is of this $33 million that everyone keeps talking about, $10 million of it is in the form of like a roster bonus, and it's going to get paid out on April 1. And so they got to figure this out before then, because if they were going to do something else, trade him, release him, whatever, you're going to do that before you're going to pay out that $10 million on April 1. But that's like, again, if you were to move on from Trent Williams, you're talking about like there's still, and this gets in the weeds, I know, but there's voidable years still on his contract, and that all accelerates into a huge dead cap figure, which the Niners there's no interest in paying that. So let me look at it again, because we're all Niner fans, right? I know some of you aren't, but like from the perspective of the team, let's look at it. Here are your options. You could lose Trent in any form, even if you trade, whatever. You could lose Trent and then you get a big dead cap figure.
$34 million.
Okay. So
Kapow.
Right. And then and slash, who's your left tackle?
Nick Zakel.
Okay.
Austin Pleasance.
So and then the other option is figure it out. Those are your options.
Right.
What do you think they're going to do?
They're going to figure it out because they don't have the other solution. And already you're dealing with the Brandon Aiyuk dead cap hit that's going to come. And depending on how you designate his release, and I do believe he'll be released, it's either going to be spread over 2 years or 1 year. And that's already coming. And it's not $34 million. It's 20-something million. And that's not going to be very comfortable. Luckily, the Niners are set up to where they have a lot of cap room right now. But you mentioned it before, and man, you've been talking a lot of hockey this week, talking about 5 holes. They've got at least 5 holes on this team.
Yep. But who wants to create another one?
This would be the biggest hole of them all.
This would be the biggest of them all. Absolutely.
You need a pass rusher, a left tackle, and a quarterback.
Grady, what's up?
Well, you were talking about the bonus that he's due April 1st, $10 million. And then you're talking about how there has to be a decision made before that. The Niners probably want that. One thing to note, if they were to cut him, which I think is incredibly unlikely, they would be incentivized to do it after June 1st.
Sure.
A pre-June 1st cut would save them only about $4.7 million against the cap this season. If they were to cut him post-June 1st, that number skyrockets to above $25 million for this year. So if they were to cut him, which I don't think they're going to do, that would likely come post-June 1st. They would have paid out the $10 million bonus, but they would be saving still a bunch on the back end.
The same thing applies for Brandon Aiyuk post June 1st versus pre June 1st, and they owe him the dead cap is 29.6. If they do it post June 1st, then you spread that over 2 years. And so I think with Brandon Aiyuk, that's going to be the way that goes. You designate it as post June 1st. It's an $8 million hit this year. It's $21 million next year. Just dead cap. He's gone. You chalk it up to a bad decision and a mistake that you made, and then you're on to Cincinnati. You have no choice now.
No, you don't.
I mean, your other choice would be to try to save it, but that thing's not savable, right? Especially considering how it all played out. It was a whole summer. They say they don't want me, and then all the rest of it, and Kyle running up the stairs and saving the deal, and then Aiyuk, and he doesn't want to play. He doesn't want to get better. He's not around. He won't take your phone calls. My God.
Yeah. It's one of those that I just think there's 2 kinds of bad decisions in life. So there's the one where you're like, well, who the hell could have seen that coming? And then there's the other one where there's people surrounding you going, how many times did I tell you that if you do this, this is what's going to happen? And unfortunately for the Niners, this Aiyuk thing is the second one. Like, who the hell couldn't see this coming? I'm not saying we could see that Brandon Aiyuk was going to have new YouTube videos speeding by Levi's and go super duper AWOL. That I don't know about that part. But the whole this is not going well. And I think you probably could do better with a second round draft pick and figure you just picked a first round receiver in the most recent draft. Why don't you just kind of lean into him? Why don't you move on? Why don't you not do $30 million for Brandon Aiyuk? It was as clear as day. Clear as day. And then they went and did it anyway. So this one, very, very much like the Niners and Brandon Aiyuk, for me, all the same feels of parenting a teenager. I told you. I've been sitting here telling you 800 times, but you don't listen. So they get what they get.
Yeah.